What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham Jason Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the November 27, 2021 edition of Talking Smack. The Black Friday edition of SmackDown went down on Friday. Check out my full audio review if you haven't already. A pretty decent show overall, a bit better than I thought it would be. So on Monday's Raw Talk, they had JBL come in for like an analyst spot. I don't know if it's a post-pay-per-view thing or like a regular thing they'll be doing going forward, where they have someone come in and talk about the shows with them, that being Matt Camp and Jackie Redmond. So we had JBL on Monday. Not the biggest JBL fan in the world, but, it was cool to have his analysis on Survivor Series and on Raw. And they teased someone for Talking Smack. Ultimately, it turned out to be Peter Rosenberg, who was not a fresh face by any means, who was literally just on the show like a month and a half ago, before Jackie came in to be the new permanent host of the show alongside Matt Camp. It was Peter Rosenberg and Matt Camp on Talking Smack. So Rosenberg wasn't exactly who I had in mind. I thought they would pull in another wrestler or whatever. It was Peter fucking Rosenberg. And he was fine here on the show, but I was a little disappointed by that. But nonetheless, to open up the episode, they replay the Roman Reigns promo that started SmackDown this week, with him talking about all the competition he's decimated over the last year as Universal Champion, putting everyone on notice, and kind of calling out his next challenger. Who more can beat me? I'm the greatest of all time, blah, blah, blah. They also recap the Battle Royal that closed out the show that saw Sami Zayn win and become the new number one contender to the Universal Championship. We hear from Sami Zayn backstage at SmackDown with Megan Morant, and Zayn complains about Lesnar being reinstated and stealing his moment. Of course, that would happen. There's a conspiracy against me. What more would people expect? That's what happened. So he talked about that and how at this point, whether it be Pierce or DeVille or whoever, there are deliberate attacks against Sami Zayn and ensuring he doesn't get beyond a certain level. And he calls this title shot coming up against Roman Reigns at some point redemption for him. And he promises what's next for him will be great. So Rosenberg says that he wasn't expecting Sami Zayn to win. A lot of people were not expecting Sami Zayn to win that Battle Royal. And Camp brings up how Drew McIntyre was excluded, King Woods was excluded, and the Intercontinental Champion Shinsuke Nakamura. All very good points. And just because Nakamura, he actually didn't even wrestle earlier on in the show, but like Jeff Hardy did, Corbin did, Moss, and they were all in the Battle Royal. So there really wasn't any reason as to why Nakamura, Woods, and McIntyre should not have been in there. Woods was not on the show. I know because he told me the other day when I interviewed him on Wednesday that he had the next 3 or 4 days off or whatever. So I knew he would not be on the show. Storyline standpoint, why wouldn't he be included? I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out next week on SmackDown. Probably because Roman had a say, and Matt Camp brings that up because who else would have had to approve the combatants in this Battle Royal, aside from maybe Roman Reigns? So Matt Camp teases that, and Rosenberg says, that's not Sammy's problem. He took advantage of an opportunity, and now he's the number one contender. They then recap the Jeff Hardy and Drew McIntyre versus Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss match that saw Hardy and McIntyre pick up the win. And that was when Jackie Redmond called Jeff Hardy vintage, looking more like the vintage Hardy of old with these wins lately and getting these great reactions. Who doesn't love Jeff Hardy, Matt Camp says that he knows what he needs to do to dig deep and pull out the big moments when it matters most, as he talked about in Broken Skull Sessions, which I've actually yet to watch at this point. And I know that came out a couple of days ago, so hopefully at some point I get to catch that and watch it and review it here for the channel in the coming days or whatever. So they talk about that. They also replay the Charlotte Flair Toni Storm segment. That's how Toni Storm step up to Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair say no to her challenge for a match for that SmackDown Women's Championship, only to get pie in the face from Charlotte as well. So not a great night for Toni Storm. We hear from Toni Storm backstage on the show at SmackDown. Kept very brief, this interview was. She simply says, she tried to embarrass me. She tried to humiliate me. Well, the thing is, Toni Storm doesn't get embarrassed. And the only thing that's going to be embarrassing is Charlotte Flair losing that SmackDown Women's Championship to me. They then replay Cesaro versus Ridge Holland from SmackDown. That saw Cesaro win, kind of eke out the victory there. And Matt Camp says that Holland and Sheamus pairing is very dangerous, and anyone on that SmackDown roster should watch out. And Holland is doing the right thing by kind of sitting under that Sheamus learning tree and learning everything he can from the Celtic Warrior, someone who has accomplished basically almost everything at this point in his WWE career. Redmond and Camp then discuss Brock Lesnar getting reinstated at the end of the show, and we hear from Adam Pearce backstage at SmackDown with Caleb Braxton. And Pierce says that he wishes he was clued in. Caleb Braxton kind of blindsided him out there. And he did what he says that what Lesnar did on SmackDown the night he got suspended was monumental in a negative way. And the fact that he's coming back, he says it sucks. And he says that he has to deal with the fact that Brock Lesnar is going to be walking in the same halls as him next week, and he was the one who took money out of Brock's wallet. And now they have to come kind of interact with each other next week on the show. So Pierce wasn't happy about it. I thought Pierce was the one who made the decision. Obviously not. I'm not sure. Maybe it was the board of directors or Vince. I have no fucking clue. I'm not even sure they explained that. I'm not even sure if they know who was the one who reinstated Brock, but Brock is reinstated. He comes back next week. And then to close out the show, Rosenberg says, hey, Pierce, listen, you got to deal with it. It's only good news for everyone else but Adam Pearce and probably Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. It's good news that Brock will be back next week. And they also, speaking of Heyman, question his role in the whole thing, how he'll react to Brock coming back, where does his allegiance lie. And Rosenberg says that he takes him at face value, and he expects to see him stick with Roman Reigns because he is the current champion. And Paul is always stuck with the champion, and Roman is the champion. So, yeah, that was about it for the November 27, 2021 edition of Talking Smack. Pretty decent stuff. Again, Rosenberg was a disappointing get for the show. I was hoping it would be someone along the lines of, I don't know, someone on the roster or a legend or whatever. Rosenberg was not exactly who I had in mind, but he was decent, though, making this a solid middle-of-the-road edition, per usual, of Talking Smack, recapping all the big moments and matches and whatever from Friday's SmackDown. Thank you guys for checking out these reviews. As always, I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. We'll be back soon with more Talking Smack reviews, Raw Talk, WWE Network and show videos, breaking down Broken Skull Sessions and Ruthless Aggression, and everything else going on right now on Peacock and in the wrestling world in general. So subscribe and hit that bell button to be notified every time a new video goes up. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.